Tuesday, May the 5th, a little after 9:30. And before I begin, Deputy Judge, do I need to have the public hearing for the land and water conservation grant approved? The public hearing that we had?
You need the minutes approved?
Yes.
Yes. When we get
Yes, the minutes, yes. Should I go and do that now?
No, you can wait till we get to your agenda.
Okay. So that can be included with the minutes? I see that right there, minutes from LWC. All right, thank you. As always, it's my pleasure to have a pastor to come into fiscal court. And today, we have Carol Beaver, Reverend Carol Beaver. She is with the Shepherdsville Christian Church. She was just ordained not too long ago, and I was honored to be invited to her ordination. And she's just a wonderful community member who serves us well. So let's stand. She's going to lead in a prayer and the pledge to flag. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. Please pray with me. Gracious and loving God, as we gather in this spirit of community, fill our hearts with compassion for the rights and privileges of others. Open our minds with discernment for today's business at hand. Be with the magistrates, the county attorney, and our judge executive as we lead this meeting. And be with the residents of our county as decisions are made that affect their lives. Lord, we also ask that you be with the men and women who tirelessly serve this country through the armed services. It is through their efforts that we are able to join together in meetings like this one today. All these things we humbly ask. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 4 on the agenda, action is requested on treasury transfer report. Ms. Short, if you have anything?
Just the reports were dated for April the 30th, and there's another report dated for May the 5th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Ms. Short. Number 5, actions requested on approval of bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Judge, in the packets, I had sent bills out from the treasurer's office dated for April the 30th for your approval.
Move those bills be paid.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Number 6, approval of the minutes from April the 21st, 2015. We'll take those first.
Do them both of them together, or just?
Let's just do April the 21st minutes from fiscal court first. I don't want to do the LWCF yet.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. Second.
We have a motion and a second concerning the April 21st, 2015 fiscal court minutes. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Raker?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. And now, action is requested on the LWCF public hearing minutes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Raker?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you, magistrates. Magistrates, if you would, join me down on the floor. We're going to have some presentations to be made, if you want to. This first presentation is very much an honor for me because this is Tammy Ott, who's a woman in our community. And it's great to see women winning awards as that Tammy Ott has won. So Miss Tammy, come on up here. Today is going to be your day. You all may know Tammy because she owns and runs a daycare called Today's Kids. She's going to talk about that in just a few minutes. This is Tammy Ott Day. This is a proclamation of Melanie J. Roberts, Bullitt County Judge Executive. Whereas Tammy Ott opened Today's Kids Child Care and Learning Center in Shepherdsville in 2004, inspired by the need for quality child care for her granddaughter. And whereas Tammy Ott's business employs 22 people and has 110 children currently enrolled, and Tammy prides herself on having a great place for children to attend where their parents and guardians know they will be safe and loved. And whereas Tammy Ott is a resident of and very active community member of Bullitt County as a member of the Work Ready Committee, chair for the Foster Review Board, Bullitt County Women's Club, and past president of the Bullitt County Chamber of Commerce. And whereas Tammy Ott recently won the EPIC Small Business Division Award from the National Association of Women Business Owners of Louisville. And she'll talk more about that in just a second. And whereas Tammy Ott is married to Philip Ott, whom she has one daughter, LaCosta Livingston, and 3 grandchildren. She's chomping at the bit to talk about her daughter and her grandchildren. What a great mama and grandmama. I just tell you, chomping at the bit. Whereas Tammy Ott is always willing to find a way to help if there's a need to make things better for our children and for our community. Now, therefore, I, Melanie J. Roberts, Judge Executive of Bullitt County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, do hereby proclaim the 5th day of May, 2015 to be Tammy Ott Day. And I encourage you to wish her well and congratulate her. And let's give her a big round of applause.
I just want to say thank you, and it's a privilege and an honor to represent Bullitt County. I also want to say that this was not a group that I belong to. I'm not a member of this organization. This is strictly chosen by your business and by the community service that you do. And as always, I really love working with the community. I want our kids to be able to come back to Bullitt County and to live in Bullitt County and to help us grow our county. So I really am honored to have received this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tammy, for all the service you give to our county. And then turn over to Joe and see if he wants to say anything.
Tim, thank you for all your service in the county. You did a lot of things, serving on a lot of boards and committees. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tammy. We appreciate your service. I mean, the county's always, we need people to be involved to make our county so much better. If more people to be involved, it would be a blessing to our county for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your services for Bullitt County.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for Shepherd's going to work with children.
I love the kids. Thank you. That's what makes tomorrow better.
It does, sure.
Let's give Tammy another round of applause. Now stay right there. And of course you always stay right there. That's just stay right there. And let me do, what's the next one? What's the next one? Here we go. Come on up, motorcycle folks. Me being a member of the KMA for many years, this is dear and dear to my heart, that this is Motorcycle Awareness Month. Raise your hand if you have a motorcycle. Raise your hand if you drive the motorcycle. Raise your hand if you ride. Raise your hand if you wish you had a motorcycle. There you go. Well, these fine folks, let me introduce them to you.
I'm Mike Anchola. I'm the resident of Bullitt County and Vice Director of the Kentucky Motorcycle Association.
I'm Patrick Barnett, General Manager at CC Power Sports.
And what's your wife?
My wife's here, Donna Canchola. She's a motorcycle rider, rides her own motorcycle. I ride behind her sometimes.
You have your own. That's me. Well, this is a proclamation of Melanie J. Roberts, Bullitt County Judge Executive. This is Motorcycle Awareness Month. So here we go. Whereas the safe operation of a motorcycle requires the use of special skills developed through a combination of training, experience, the use of sound judgment, and thorough knowledge of traffic laws and licensing requirements. And whereas Kentucky has 184,425 individuals who have valid operator and chauffeur licenses with a motorcycle endorsement. And whereas it is especially important that Kentucky citizens be aware of motorcycles on the streets and recognize the importance, very important, of motorcycle safety. And whereas the Commonwealth is dedicated to promoting motorcycle safety as evidenced by organizations such as the Kentucky Motorcycle Association, the Kentucky Motorcyclist Rider Education Program, Share the Road, the Governor's Motorcycle Advisory Commission for Highway Safety, and the Governor's Motorcycle Safety Education Advisory Commission. And whereas during this month, all highway users should begin practicing safely sharing roadways, especially during the seasonal return of motorcycles to the Commonwealth streets and highways. Now therefore, I, Melanie J. Roberts, Judge Executive of Bullitt County, do hereby proclaim May 2015 Motorcycle Awareness Month in Bullitt County, Kentucky, and I urge all citizens to exercise greater safety and care in their driving habits. So let's give a round of applause to the motorcycle. Mike has something to say.
Well, in keeping with that theme, actually, it's a request. Back in 2005, the Kentucky Motorcycle Association helped push legislation through which allows counties to place share the road signs for motorcycles. There's actually a KRS, which I've attached to this letter. The Kentucky Motorcycle is making a concerted effort at this time to bring this issue to the attention of the judge and magistrates. We are asking your support to bring awareness to the general public about motorcycles on the roadways. The second leading causes of accidents involving motorcycles are due to unattended drivers and drivers who claim they just didn't see the motorcycle. In 2014, last year, there were 33 motorcycle collisions in Bullitt County. One resulted in a fatality. According to the accident report, the driver of the pickup truck didn't see the motorcycles. With the installation of these signs and other awareness campaigns, we hope to make motorists more alert to motorcycles on the roadways. We asked them to purchase 6 signs, request the DOT approval locations in the county, and install these signs upon approval. 2 signs will be located on Highway 61, 2 signs will be located on Highway 44, 1 sign on 480, 1 sign on 245. We work with the Sheriff's Office, the County Road Department to ensure these signs are placed in areas that will have the greatest impact. We have worked previously with Carroll, Boone, Kenton, Campbell, and Union, and other counties to have these signs installed. And the KMA, Kentucky Motorcycle Association, will be assist in any way possible. We ask that you do that today.
And what's the cost on that?
Approximately $600, about $100 a sign, so 6 signs.
And we can, think we can table that, think about that if you want to, or if you want to do it today, that's up to you all. We'll get with the CFO too, he's going to be on where we could possibly get or pull the money if we can pull it. But in the meantime, since Mike has talked about this, then let's do some thinking about that.
The whole packet here of information, there's actually shows a pattern throughout the county where it can continuously occur year after year after year. I've also have a copy of the sign if anybody wants to see it. Some other information where you can purchase a sign, Department of Highway, I see it here, education, coaching department, and some other resources. Actually, have an application for the permit that might be presenting to the department. So I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
And yes,
Question.
Is,
Can people, families purchase one of these signs?
I don't see why not.
I had a real good friend of mine got killed on a motorcycle, same way, he got on a motorcycle and the lady didn't see him, killed him, you know. And I think it would be a great thing to have, you know, Jason, my friend Jason McCubbins, 1987, you know, donate to his family, to be able to set up something like that, and have, you know, other 6 people, if they would like, first come, first served. If it's, you know, we might ask, I don't know if there's a special, have someone's name on it.
Well, actually, the permit's got to come through the county government, or the KRS, which is state law. So as far as financing, the county attorney might work something on that. The legality of it.
Because I'd purchase one just for that purpose, you know, to be able to. Okay, great.
yeah, let's talk about it some more. The county attorney, who we can do with that.
Yeah.
And then let's bring it up and see what we can do with it. You all bring it up. And I'll have a copy of this for you all. You don't want to say anything? Let's give these. Okay, so we've got our education through Tammy because she educates our children, and our children are our future. We've got our motorcycle folks. We want safety for them. Now, when we go home at night and when we go into a building, we want building safety. So I'm going to proclaim this month as Building Safety Month. So I want to bring up our lead code enforcement officer and director of code enforcement, Rudy Hawkins. This is a proclamation of Melanie J. Roberts, Bullitt County Judge Executive. This is Building Safety Month, whereas Fiscal Court of Bullitt County, Kentucky, in continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, acknowledge it is our building codes that give us the confidence our structures are safe and sound. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety. our local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And seriously, folks, it is very, very important. Whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. And now, therefore, I, Melanie J. Roberts, Judge Executive of Bullitt County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2015 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join with their communities in participation in Building Safety Month activities. Let's hear it for our code enforcement. Yays. You're either getting yays or nays. I think they're yays. Go ahead. What was yours?
I accept this with appreciation and on behalf of my staff. Thank you.
And I do want to say, yeah, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. Our code enforcement staff is excellent. I appreciate each and every one of them, and they do an excellent job. So they do deserve. Though, let's give a round of applause. Let's give a round of applause to those employees. And Joe, go right ahead.
Really appreciate your service to the county. I'm so glad you're so happy.
You're excited to be here.
He's excited to tell me.
And let's give Bree some. Okay, old business number 1, action requested on name change of Knoll Court. This was tabled from April 21st, 2015. Mr. Richardson, do you have information on that?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Brian Richardson.
Per the court's request, I spoke to Mr. Regal. He would like some type of directional added on to Joy Lane. Rather than take away from the court. The reason for this was for his checks, his driver's license. So I had expenses to him. I did receive, I spoke with Mark Richardson, our email coordinator. He wrote a note, a letter to me, that's y'all. Basically, to sum it up, says to have one street pointing a fixed directional will more than likely confuse emergency services responders due to them thinking that other side streets more than likely be a directional as well. We'll be looking for a breaking point along the main road, that's to another directional street. This example is Toby Hall out here, it's very confusing.
Leave that up to us.
So basically, Mr. Reed was looking for some type of direction like that. Be more southeast west.
So are we changing the names? It was, you changed it to Noel.
We changed it to well. All parties were notified. Addresses were changed. Post office was notified. DVA was notified. I changed their addresses in our system as well. All the changes that made to Noel Court so far.
So it's staying in Noel Court. That'd be your office.
That's right.
Oh, okay, I thought we were talking about a direction.
No, it would go back to a direction like an east, west, or south Joy Lane. Everybody would be notified that they have to change their address again for all. Now there's Mr. Reed right now is the only one living in that. Mr. and Mrs. Coleman up on the hill, they, from what I heard, just sold their property to the road was. So, they're going to Mr. Reed with the house.
So, just, you know,
Joy Lane ran.
Well, I understand why it was changed, but how come it became Bullitt?
No, of course, out of the blue, we were talking, and, I spoke with the attorney, and he recommended I bring some recommendations to the court. So I just said, no, it can be John Doe. It doesn't have to be no court, nobody has to be no
Joe
court.
Radio? They are?
As long as it's not a different road the street, listen.
Yeah, that's your, Joe Laswell, without that.
Right now, with the road, that was Joey Road, Joey Lane.
Joy Lane,
Joey Lane,
and it was split on the new highway. So now we left,
but would simplify this thing just go east and west, and I think that we're not talking about this yet. The different.
I don't think so. The problem that you had, Mr. Fiscal, and Mr. Richardson will correct me, is Joy Lane did run east-west. Department of Transportation constructed Crescent Highway. They severed that road. And when they severed the road, the portion that lies to the west of the new 61 was reconfigured, and it runs north to Dickey Drive. And because of that, everything on that road will have to come all the way to Dickey. It changes not only the name of the road, it changes the actual numbers. So regardless of it being Noel Court or some other name, all the parties will have to have new numbers assigned according to the numbering system.
It's not.
Right. And the other issue that you have is because of the way it's going to reconfigure, it's not logical to call it West Joy because it runs first north and south and then it runs from the east to the west. And Mr. Richardson has talked to, I believe, everybody that's involved, the EMS, Postal Service and all that, and that's why the new configuration was renamed Noel Court.
Is what you recommend to John, is that satisfactory for me?
well, what I recommended before was a complete street name change based on E911 and the Sherman bus runs. Mr. Reed would like some type of direction on how to launch that, so he would not have to change his checks and driver license. Extra expenses added on there.
But is that possible? That's what you need to ask the court. It's not going to happen.
Because he's still going to have to change, he was talking about the possibility of changing, scratching out his checks, or putting a new number in just a W in front of the lane, possibly would work. But still, his driver's license. So this is something that occurs a lot.
Well, so and basically the tires that he suggests not to do, not to put the direction on the tire. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Reed, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it seems like since I'm the only one living down there, I'm the only one in the street, so to speak. But I unfortunately had trouble at home this year. I had no extra money to run it. As far as the driver's license, if I wait till my term's up on my driver's license, I'll still be on the Joy Lane. I won't be breaking much of the law. My checks and stuff, I can't, if it's like west, I can just put a W in front of it. That shouldn't be no big. But, like I said, with all the other stuff, the expenses, I can't do it. Right now, I can't sell my house because of the house that sits down the end of the street, which I appreciate the code enforcement. If they have a law, it would be a good thing. But I couldn't get enough out of my house if I decided to pay it off, because of that house. Terrible things in a subdivision right across the street from Mr. Lasman. I'm sure what his property is saying. I cannot be for doing checks or whatever, and the hassle and all like that. With the stroke I had would appreciate it if you gentlemen and ladies could find it, to change it back to Joy Lane, because when we first come up with the version, Mr. Knoll was going to side somewhere, somehow. I don't know how he lives in Jackson County, but I never was, and that's why it comes to this point, because I was known back then, I was in a fight.
You said it wasn't.
Everybody was notified it did not send a certified, so she said it, I did have a letter, I'm not gonna get out that time. We might have another one here. The only one, I went off the tax list, because he said Mr. Noel lives in Jefferson County, regularly, Coleman, they live in Lexington. So, that letter was sent out January 23rd.
It was a typical, that average range, and that was it not typical, certified or just consistent?
I mean, there's, somehow that is, don't typically want to address notification, we're not supposed to.
Depends. A lot of mail that comes down through there, for some reason, if they got somebody that's on there, they're the regular person's off, I don't get a lot of mail.
And that might be something too for the post office, if we do what you want us to do, you might not get an email. That's the, process. We have to mind, when you look at everything, and I'm thinking that we have to listen to people that's going to be post office, EMS, because if you do have another stroke, they don't want to go down to your neighbors first. We want to make sure they get to your house, and with the number change, it's easy to, if you don't, they can ride around the whole neighborhood looking for that number, and it's not there, so.
Yeah, the number change would be, a couple little magic marker go down on the mailbox, if they take care of that, it's not an expense. I don't have no problem with I have no problem with that. That's not the Joy Lane is what my situation is like. Any other questions?
No action then? Leave the way it is?
I think we're going to, just leave it the way it is, and I apologize for that. We have to go with the post office recommendation, and that's the recommendation. It's nothing personal, but I think, you hate to make decisions like that, but it's a process.
If the post office EMS and all like that has to learn the new name of the street. What I can't figure out, you know, if they can learn, no more they can learn East Joy, or West, North, you know.
I understand, we just, you know, you take the recommendation, you might talk to the EMS and the post office and see if you can get their mind changed.
Like that. But I can't make, like here.
Mike,
Hey, did I change your mind, Mike?
I hate to do this to you, Mike, but no, the reason about is Joe B. Hall. You got Joe B. Hall that's,
it's a Kentucky coach, right?
well, that's the first problem with it, but the second problem is the brakes at the light. One direction is west, the other's east until you get to what used to be Carpenter. And then it goes to the curve in front of the old Stadium Joe's, and as soon as you make the curve, it changes again. Now, when that comes in, and they say West Joy, and the crew's sitting in the dark trying to find house numbers and trying to look at street signs that may or may not be there, they're looking for a west direction if they're coming. And if that road's facing north,
Well, we could go north, it doesn't matter, you know.
the Row Acres is another thing. Meadowbrook. Try to listen to a dispatcher that's having a caller trying to go through Meadowbrook Drive, Meadowbrook Circle, Meadowbrook Court, and Meadowbrook Boulevard in one subdivision and try to find that subdivision. I understand the dilemma, but these are just things that are going to have to happen in an effort to get where we need to be directionally in an appropriate mapping system. We've got to make these changes, and it's not going to make everybody off. Wait till we get somebody that we're going to change and they have to take out $1,000 limestone number in the corner of their house. That's headed our way, and Brian and I have had these conversations. And I actually sent Mark out to drive and look at this location, and it's just not feasible. I'm not saying we can't get there, but not in a timely manner. And with your history that you referenced, getting there and recognizing a stroke and getting you to the hospital within an hour is what we need to do, and to fight and try to figure out a directional location. Noel Court in our current mapping, the way we have to do it to get there is the easiest way to do it. Not necessarily Noel, but not a directional thing. So I know it's...
So if you named it Regal, you could get there.
That's what I suggested. Can we change it to Regal? He's the only one that lives on the street.
Well, again, I have to notify all the budget property owners again, so we have to re-notify everybody, and then whoever wanted to come in, we can do it that way.
How many years are three?
Great.
You don't live there?
I don't know, like I said, I believe Mr. Robarts purchased already 11 homes, property.
But it'd be a year because if you live there, no.
I notified Mr. Noel last day, I was going to show up. But yes, to answer your question, we can, it doesn't have to be.
That might be, I mean, you still got to change everything, but it might, if there's a, you know, so owner right now on that street, it might be something we can not make it to us, or make it safe, but you might sell it, you know, Regal, it sounds good. But, you know, I make a motion. It's okay with Joe. We make a motion that we table it and see if we can change that name to Regal.
I'll second that motion. Well, actually, you'll need to second it.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions on the motion? And Ms. Williams, will you read the motion?
The motion was made by Mr. Randall to table discussion and see if it is possible to rename Noel Court Regal.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Randall?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Before I step down,
Sure.
I would like to have a law introduced toward the code enforcement guys, because right now, down at the end of Noel Regal Court, whatever, there is a house that has been there, they moved it in about 5 years ago, and nothing has been done to it. Sitting up there, the wood is just rotten and falling off of it. It lowers my property value, it lowers Mr. Laswell's property values, because it sits in 1 mile radius or whatever. And I would like to have a law put on the books for the code enforcement that in a subdivision, which we're in, you know, you gotta keep your houses fixed up. Can't let them sit there and rot down.
Do you have some restrictions in that subdivision?
We do, it has to be brick. There's also the restriction of no cars there, but we have nobody to enforce it. I don't know how long ago the subdivision was made and all like that. But since then, we have no attorney or anything like that. I've been there 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, if you own a lot, we call it, license complaint, certificate. You know, it's restrictions, you have set restrictions in the subdivision. If you're the sole in the subdivision, you can file a complaint hindering the restrictions. Whatever the complaint. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Riegel. Okay, number 2, under old business, action requested on resolution 15-08, overtime increase, table from April 21st, 2015. Would you step to the podium, Director Phillips? Good morning, Director.
I'm not really, I was on at the end of this, so. The Emergency Services Committee met 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. We went over the scheduling scheme that we're currently running. And talking to Mr. Radiel and Mr. Laswell, I think we've come to the conclusion, correct me if I'm wrong, that the 12-hour shifts, after showing them the savings, albeit not that much based on the sheet that I placed before you, and what I did is I broke it down for the committee to show how we run 12-hour shifts with 48 FT or full-time employees, FTEs. They physically work 84 hours a week per pay period, excuse me. We ultimately pay them for 88 hours because they work 36 hours 1 week, 48 hours the next week. The breakdown below that is for 8-hour shifts. If we converted and went to 8-hour shifts, it shows you how many FTEs we would need to fill that 8-hour schedule. And then I broke it down into the additional cost for those 3 extra FTEs. The 12-hour shifts allow a little bit more flexibility in our scheduling. It also gives the employees every other weekend off. So there are some advantages other than just the savings on the 12-hour shifts. Above that, I broke down how we classify our overtime at EMS. The scheduled overtime is what we're talking about. That is the overtime that we accrue because of the 12-hour shifts. Unscheduled overtime is the overtime that we pay out to cover vacant FTE positions, workman's comp, family medical leave, vacations, sick time. So we have to feel, based on our minimum coverage, those positions, maintain and keep 5 trucks and 2 cars on the street. 5 trucks and 2 cars were voted on and approved by Fiscal Court in 2006. The med cars were placed because we did not maintain a full staff of paramedics in every truck. So in 2006, when Jewish South was opening up and we were anticipating 2,000 transfers a year, and over 3/4 of those to be ALS transfers, in an effort to keep paramedics free and available on the necessary runs that they need to make, we put the med cars on. Jewish South and their transfers paid for those med cars in the 5th truck reserve shift. Those trucks were put on in 2006 to cover the additional runs there and to maintain the increase that we were having every year on our runs throughout the county. We were supposed to have a hospital that was going to decrease our transfers and allow us to keep maintaining the 5 trucks county coverage, and we've had an increase every year. As we all know, the hospital is not going to have this, so our transfers are not going to go down. And the county runs continue to increase. So the unscheduled overtime is an effort to maintain and keep 5 trucks and 2 med cars on. But what we do is, in the event that we have enough part-time paramedics that can work, if we have a paramedic for every truck, we eliminate the med cars. If we have a paramedic for 4 trucks, we'll drop a car. So we are doing different things to try to save money and cut the cost. It may not cut necessarily the overtime numbers, but it will cut the overall payroll for that week. In these packets, and I won't go through them, but I've given you the last 2 pay periods and the breakdown of the total overtime, the amount of vacation and sick time that we paid out. So if you look at the 12-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts accrue 384 hours of overtime every pay period. You subtract the rest of that and look at the payroll for April 30th. We had a total of 779 hours of overtime. Out of that, 212 of it was for sick time. 299.5 of that was for vacation time out. There will be a difference between the 384 and the 2 of those because we fill a majority of those open spots with part-time people as much as we possibly can. So I'm not sure what report you get from the treasurer to look at the overtime, but I just wanted to give you something to look at. If you're getting the payroll reports like I get, I've also went through a list that the county deputy judge emailed to you all and made the appropriate corrections on that form for you to look at. So as you're looking at that, I broke it down into the line items that they are being taken out of within the budget. When you look at that, you'll be able to count how many FTEs we have. I put full-time, whether they're an EMT or a paramedic, part-time EMT or a paramedic, and then I broke it down into our maintenance and mechanics, our administrative assistants, and then deputy director and QA and QI, which is in the budget as supervisor, in the 105 line. That will give you a chance that if you're getting the payroll reports that I get, you'll be able to break it down and look at who's getting what. And unless there is a catastrophic event, the top 2 line items and the bottom 2 groups should never get overtime. All of the overtime accrued is the EMTs and the paramedics that are in the 137 line item. Occasionally, you will get an administrative assistant that gets overtime because we have to maintain the phones. And if they're dealing based on their staggered shifts, if everybody's off, we've got to keep somebody in at 4 o'clock to get the phone. But that happens very rarely. Usually we try to make them take off or come in late the following day. If it happens today, I can't get the money back because this is our last day of the pay period for the units. So I'm rambling, but mainly what I'm trying to do is based on the resolution and it going back into effect today, I'm trying to get fiscal court approval to allow me to schedule and unscheduled overtime. And then the thing I need to add into that is the late runs and the early runs. Because what we need to take into consideration, it takes an hour to make a run on average. So if we pass this, crews get off at 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock every morning, we might as well just shut the trucks down because they're going to be going on overtime because they're going to be making a late run. If the run comes in at 15 minutes before the end of the shift, they have to make it and they're accruing an hour of overtime for late run. Or a half an hour or so because if you come in early, we'll put you in one of our spare trucks, send you out to make the run to get somebody there for that trucks. So, what we've done is the last fiscal court approved me to get an electronic time system. I've been holding off on that time system to try to get direct deposit first, but I've set up a couple meetings tomorrow and Thursday to look at an electronic time system that will break it down and allow you all to see a payroll report that breaks down all of the overtime we're going to get, whether it be scheduled, unscheduled, early, late run. We've eliminated all mandatory training for this budget. We actually had 48 hours of mandatory training that we didn't have to do that would be overtime. That's been eliminated. So there are things that we're trying to make to get through this budget. My payroll line item is at 71%. For payroll, or 74% for payrolls less. So you will come in, I'm projecting revenue, expenditures for that line. So in the short, or in the long, shut up. What I'm asking for is approval by fiscal court in accordance with the resolution passed that you would approve the scheduled and unscheduled time so that we can maintain current coverage. And I work with the CFO to see if we can change our coverage scheme. Minimum staff.
You're a salary employee.
I'm the only salaried employee.
Keith, you want to say anything about that? See, you shaking your head.
No, Mike and I've had a lot of conversations about this. One of the things I'd like to suggest to the court is on that resolution, Mike has got it in his budget. We're actually talking about two different budgets. The budget that was proposed Thursday, which is the first draft of next year. Mike, in this current year's budget, has budgeted the overtime in. It's, as he said, his line item is there. He's got to schedule overtime. The easiest thing would be to look at this resolution and pick it up with the new budget. I don't think there's, I talked to John, which is more a little bit, I don't think there'd be an issue with that. It's already scheduled, it's already in his budget, and that would give Mike and I time, because I do think there are other ways that we can do that. Mike and I had a lot of conversation. There might be a way to work this around. I don't think there's just two ways to do this. We need to examine and look at every way we can do this and bring everybody in line with the budget.
Hey,
I was going to say, what is the number that you need this pay period?
384 of the schedule.
384
hours of overtime. For just the schedule to run the 12-hour shifts the way we've been running it.
2 week?
2 week pay period. Per pay period. And then the unscheduled time would be to cover for vacation and sick time. And to tell you what that is, to give you a number, I would be.
You don't know vacations. Yeah. No, sick time is
I know vacation, and it's gonna be about 230 hours. Yeah, we'll cut back, usually if we're full staff, we'll allow 4 people from each shift, 1 person from each shift to take a vacation at a time, because we're short, we cut it back to 2, so you're looking at 160 to 200 hours of vacation.
Really, is that, and I know I've heard some stories about that a lot of the unscheduled overtime is due south, is that they'll make you a call an hour before shift's over, and then you guys, is that anywhere close to being true? And is that,
No, usually what we try to do with Jewish South is we work with Jewish South where they will hold the majority of their calls. Now, that's not an everyday occurrence, because if they're at maximum staff and they need to decompress their ER, then yes, sometimes we will hold somebody over to decompress the ER and open up some beds. And part of it is because most of the rural hospitals are on version, so they're holding people in the ER, and if Jewish South gets a call and says we have a bed ready, if we don't get the patient there, that patient loses their bed and then they sit in this ER. So we're trying to decompress their ER and work with them. So the majority of the time, they will hold runs until the end of the shift, or we will physically hold them and just tell them hold them until the shift ends.
I'll make a motion that we, based upon the recommendation of Director Phillips and CFO Crippy, that we wait until the new budget, correct me if I'm wrong, implement this resolution when the new budget begins. Director Phillips, is that correct?
Yeah, yes, I would assume so, because then the budget would build in whatever we put in based on.
Do I need to change my wording? Because the money is in this budget. And we are currently working on this budget. We are not in the new budget yet. That's my motion. You want to tweak it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
Let me get a second. Could I get a second to motion and then we can discuss it? Thank you, Gary. Okay, discussion.
well, yeah, I mean, that's the whole process. It's, it's in there, you're on your line item, but, that gives us 4 weeks. Is it 4 weeks? 8 weeks. To determine, to determine what we can make better, go through those. And I understand that, again, like I said before, if it makes sense on paper, we can't deny numbers. We make sure we sit down and we go through the numbers.
Can we do this?
Based upon your budget that you have in place, you're not changing anything that was not approved by the previous fiscal board. So you'd be authorized to do this motion.
There's one thing I want to say, I want to ask Mike whether they look into it. How many more paramedics would you have to eliminate the car and the EMT that you got in there and put a paramedic in each one of your rooms? How many more, what are we looking at there? Dollar line, you don't have to answer that now, because you may want to put the figures together, where you just, if we have to hire 2 or 3 more paramedics or whatever, if we have to look at paying $1, $2 more on the hour, or whatever, everything, to eliminate, I call it the chase car, I know it's a paramedic car, but eliminate that and you actually take that EMT out of the front line there and put the paramedic and the EMT in there, that they're making that first run, make that run on the first go around. Look at all of that and everything and see what dollars we can save and that and get that back to us. It don't have to be done at the next meeting, but you can get it done sometime.
Yes, sir.
I'll have to look at that real hard.
As we spoke earlier today, that would be a great idea. I don't know if it's feasible to judge is that if we get all the departments, because I'm new at this, and I'm a government business and personal business and secular business is all, it don't make sense, why it's not the same, If we could get all the departments to show us what they're doing, and not to, I don't want to micromanage for sure, and I know we is to show us what is the process to go through, how, just to educate the court, you know, if it's a, you know, I read that we don't have, we can have an open meeting or whatever, and I'm rambling, but to be educated, if the departments will say, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, instead of we're seeing paper, phone call, paper, phone, you know, we're going from every side. If we sit down with the departments and say, this is how we do our job, and this is what we're saving money, this is how we, you know, that would be great. Instead of, you know, but that's just a suggestion.
I've always wanted that during the budget process where we, Mr. Woolridge can correct me if I'm wrong, but where we have a working group, we're all four magistrates and the judges sitting here, and we're explaining why we need what we want to the whole group. So I'm not explaining it to you two in the Emergency Services Committee meeting, and then you're leaving, talking to Magistrate Mitchell, trying to explain what I said, not sure, and we're getting 3 or 4 different things. And I'm available when we go over the billing. So I would love to do that, because I know there's a lot of questions out there. I've heard we're not collecting 10% of our revenue and that we're losing money and
right, yeah,
it's a way to educate you all and make it an open meeting. I have no problem sitting here doing a PowerPoint explaining my revenue and the total number of runs and how we do certain things, because there are just certain things that we're doing that nobody knows it.
Right, and that's the thing is we see, you know, parts and pieces of how operations are run. And I don't know if you do make a motion on that, or if the judge would work with all the departments to see if they would like to do, if they would explain to us, since we make a decision on your money and your budget, if you explain, you would like to, and you don't have to sit down and say, hey, this is why we're doing this, you know, and, or we adopt that, so we'll have more education. I mean, that's just office that you know.
Yeah, I'll be this sacrificial lamb for myself on the process when you first need to do it, so they, it's going to be what I think is I'll make a person work with the thing. We can smell the loss.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to use that, Chris. I think it's just education. You know, that's more than we need is education. Knowing what's there, what's not, and do, you know, we appreciate what you do for sure. They just put that load on us and take care of the county's money. So, you know, it's a good constituent. I answer it.
We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, will you read the motion, please?
Based upon recommendation of Director Phillips and CFO relating to maintenance resolution 15-08 overtime freezes for the budget committees.
Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Lawson?
Yeah.
Mr. Laswell?
Yes.
Mr. Reagan?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Magistrate.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Director Phillips. And Mr. Ricky, thank you very much for your input on that. Moving on to number 3, second reading and public hearing of zoning ordinance 2015-0, Michael and Karen Roby, and Director Hammond, good morning. And we'll have Mr. Woolridge and Mr. Flaherty read the ordinance, right? Okay.
We're having our second reading for ordinance, zoning case 2015 Z-03, which is Michael and Karen Roby. They're asking to rezone from agricultural to R1 residential. They had this meeting at the Planning Commission on March 12, 2015. The Planning Commission made a motion to send a favorable recommendation to Bullitt Fiscal Court because the request zoning in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan and the restriction that no entrance to the property will be allowed off of Shelby West.
Director Hammond, Mr. Flaherty.
The zoning ordinance number 1505, series 2015. The ordinance changing the zoning from agricultural to R1 residential. The property in question is 56 acres more or less, located at 450 Loney Lane, in incorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County is considering the evidence of the public hearing, by the Planning Commission and the recommendation of the Commission. Whereas the Fiscal Court was appropriate and not agreed with the Planning Commission, says zoning change, and approves to accept the recommendations of the Planning Commission. This matter is set out in 7 minutes. Now therefore be ordained by the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County, Kentucky. Section 1 is the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County,
Ordinance describing the municipal records of the Planning Commission adopting the 2015 Z-03, hereby change from agricultural to R1 residential. Section 2, this ordinance will take effect on publication of the first reading and regular meeting of the Municipal Court of Fiscal County, Kentucky, on the first day of April 2015. Give the second reading and vote upon the regular meeting of the Bullitt County Municipal Court on the 5th day of April 2015.
All righty. Action is requested.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2015 Z-03. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Wiggins, can you call the roll?
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Mr. Rahab?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you, Director. Number 4, under old business, action is requested on social media policy. Mr. Warren, do you want to say anything about this policy?
So this is a policy that the district court was asked to adopt. We asked the county attorney's office to prepare a social media networking policy. Mr. Flaherty worked on this document. We have tendered it to district court and magistrates. Unless there is some reason that the magistrate see, we would believe that this would be an acceptable beginning point for the social media policy in Bullitt County. Now, if the magistrate not had sufficient time to look at it, I would suggest that we will just table this until the next district court meeting.
Make a motion to accept the social media prepared by county attorney's office.
Y'all need me?
Yes.
All right, what do we need?
Yeah.
Got a motion? All right, got a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? You got, okay, Ms. Williams, read the motion.
Motion to accept the social media policy, county policy as compared to Commissioner's office.
And I have a comment. Mr. Bullitt, for your help in this. I very much appreciate it. Magistrates, thank you for your potential support. Let's call the roll. Ms. Williams, call the roll.
Mr. Rahab?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Laszlo?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all very much, fiscal court members, for that. Okay, number, magistrates under new business 1 and 2 have been scratched. Ms. Hammond, because they did not appear in the final news? Yes. Okay. Any questions on numbers 1 and 2? Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Magistrate Mitchell. Number 5, under old business, has been scratched. And Mr. Griffin, you want to comment about the number 5?
I talked to the folks over at the Conservation District and told them that we had budgeted to keep us flat with $90,000. They would adjust their budget for that. They fully expect that they really make a problem.
That's excellent. Do you all want to take action on that now, or wait until the next meeting?
If it's ready, we'll get it.
I haven't seen anything prepared. I just started the conversation.
This is what we do.
Oh, you want to wait until? So we will wait until we get some fair questions and come on the agenda. But that's very good news. Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Judge Roberts, those 2 cases should be on for the first reading at our next fiscal court meeting of May.
Okay. Numbers 1 and 2 under new business? Number 3 under new business. Action is requested for approval of payment to close out the kingdom. Director Hatfield, come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
this out to you all. While I'm handing it out, I'm gonna try to explain to you. This began in 2007, when we discovered that company, actually company oil company down on 44 West. And after we got into the court proceedings, and one thing led to another, we ended up with 2 phases of trying to get it cleaned up. And I guess it was my fault to a certain extent, because I was under the impression that as long as the entire dump went over $50,000, then the county did not have to pay anything. Well, the way it's worded, it has to go over $50,000 every grant. So anytime, one thing I have learned, hopefully don't find any more of these. The other thing is anytime you're cleaning the dump, you don't know, what's under it. So in phase 1, if you look at the second page there, and don't mind my chicken scratch, we were awarded $23,144. Without that $23,144, we had to pay at least 20%. So to make a long story short, we paid over that, coming to a total of $6,633.14. Now that was done in the year 2013. So now we went into phase 2. As you can see, the second paragraph, it's $95,000. We spent $79,778.88, leaving a balance of $15,229.12. That $15,229.12 is not our money. As I was explaining to Mr. Griffey, we received $95,000, and out of the grant, we've got to reimburse the state $15,229.12 of their money. So, where I made a mistake, this is my first rodeo on this, and believe me, I've got all the paperwork to prove it, but if we find another dump this large, then we need to try to clean it all at once, or because I didn't know. So anyway, I'll answer any questions that I can. If I didn't explain it as well as good, like I say, this has been going on since 2007, and I'm glad it finally came to an end. There was a lot of things happening.
Has the state signed off and everything? Are they 100% satisfied with everything that's done now?
Yes, they've signed off. This will be the final letter. And I've had everybody from the Corps of Engineers to the Division of Water, to the state EPA, everybody and their brother have been down.
And they have all give their signature, 100% over everything.
Yeah.
We don't come back the next year or 5 years.
No. Now, the one thing that I think, or we could ask the county attorney that I want to bring up, we paid $10,000, $10,633.14 in 2013 tax money. Can we lien that property for $10,613.14? $633.14.
Go back to review, the lien statute is very specific as to when you put a lien on. And again, because we were involved in the grant process, there may well be waivers that are there to be given. We will review that, and if we can still place a lien after receiving a new grant, we will obviously advise the county to do something. But I'm doubtful that we're going to be successful at that.
Is this the last dump that's closed?
This is the last one, yes, that I have, yes. The first one, we don't have any open so far. Not that I'm calling open dump. I mean,
Not open, I mean, just still.
well, there's people that's gonna have to clean their property up that I could actually call an open dump. But I don't. I do it under our solid waste, ordinance. But if the state says anything over 2 cubic yards, which is about 2 pickup truckloads, I I could call an illegal dump, charge him with illegal dump, with a felony. But if I did that, I'd be in court. You know, most of the time, the people are good enough to clean it up and haul it off, and then if they don't, then I put them before the district court and give them an order to clean it up.
So, on this right here, Larry, how much did grant money did we get just for cane dump? Was it 95?
No, you got 95 plus 23, 144.
95 and 23, to say?
Yes, sir.
How much did it cost to do it?
Someone knew you were gonna ask me that, I'm sorry. 79,788 plus 33,777.
And the difference of that is 15,000.
No. The difference in paragraph 1, the 23,144, you take 23,144, we would have to have put the minimum of 20% grant match. So we, instead of a grant match, we spent about 3,000, look, we spent 3,877.92 over our match in 2013. So I could not claim that was over $50,000 because it wasn't. So that's why it cost us $10,000. I was under the impression the entire site, if it went over 50,000, then we would get reimbursed at the end of the site cleanup. But by taking 2 phases, when we dug up the first phase, we didn't touch it. As you can very well tell, we had to go back in and spend $79,000 more. And this all happened after many court dates in circuit court and people filing bankruptcies, people that would cost to bring them in there. We did a small investigation and found where they were receiving money for letting the people dump there. It was a big mess.
So total, just say, you know, my simple thought is to clean this dump up, the total cost of Bullitt County $15,000.
Total cost us $10,000.
$10,000.
So
we have to pay back 15.
We have to pay back 15, but that's actually state money.
That's their money.
That's their money out of 95,000.
So it only cost us, the whole project was over $100,000.
Yes, sir.
And all Bullitt County had in it was 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. 10,633.
Yes, sir.
All right. And it's stamped off and the state says we're good. And
when I send this check, yes, they will close it out.
Is vegetation on that pretty good down there?
Pardon?
The vegetation, everything, with cover crop and everything, vegetation, everything pretty good on it.
Turned out real good.
You got that nice concrete down there, and then a lot of times you get some of that back over there.
Yeah.
And you feel pretty secure with that and everything?
Yeah, the one area I do, and I've asked them about that, and like I say, I've been down there with the state's attorneys, the Corps of Engineers, the Division of Water, and I have all that documented and file all that calls.
Okay. That's good. And I thank you so
I'll make a motion that we cut a check to the state, amount of 15,229, 12.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion?
Can we put the interest off that money while we're ahead?
Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Mr. Grayhill?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
And the next one is a very simple one. There's no match. We get $4,000 for removal of tires along public right of ways. We got $4,000 last year, and I'm getting ready. They're supposed to pick them up last week. So I would just like to give you all, give a motion for Judge Roberts to sign that. And I will apply for that grant again, but there is no match. If we take that $3,000 worth of tires, Yes. Then, we send them back $1,000. We pick up $2,500 worth of tires and we send them back. It's their money, it's free money.
Hey, Magistrates, this is number 5, action requested for authorization to apply for tire recycle grant.
I'll put that for
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lazaro. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Williams, will you read the motion again?
The motion is to approve the grant to apply for to approve the applying for the grant for the tire recycle program.
Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, you may call the roll.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I think I went understood you all. I don't need approval for this Saturday double time, or do I do need approval for this Saturday double time?
No.
Okay. No, that's okay, this Saturday, we will have cleanup days at 11 Junction Elementary and over here on Joe B. Hall at the old Chevrolet High School, May 4th. North Bullitt, Bullitt East, and Nichols at 17 dumpsters. So we will wrap that up this Saturday with, where's Mr. Martha? Just get me as many inmates as you can. I'll be there if they'll look. Any questions?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Director Hatfield. Magistrates, under new business number 6, action is requested on Harper's Consulting Maintenance Agreement. Ms. Sharp, do you want to say anything about this?
I just would like to inform the court that this is the part of the programming for the treasurer's office that supplies you your reports on a monthly basis, as well as me being able to upload to the Department of Local Government the financial information for the account. And this is just a maintenance agreement.
Just once a year? And they maintain if there's any problems? Now, I see on it, this doesn't, is it just one fee, or does they, I mean, if you didn't do that, she would charge you by the job?
Yeah, but normally she
does this? Okay. Make a motion to accept maintenance agreement. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion on the motion? Ms. Williams, may call the roll.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Lazaro?
Yes.
Mr. Rahal?
Radio.
Mr. Rahal?
Yes.
Judge Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Well, you looked at it.
I'll make a motion to take a 10-minute recess. Do I need to give a reason for that, Mr. Woolridge? Oh, thank you. Any questions or oh, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Joey. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? 10 minutes, we'll be sitting and the second.
Yes.